Welcome to the beautiful coast of Pacific City, Oregon, where you'll find around every corner there's another spectacular view. A place where nature provides breathtaking landmarks, such as Haystack Rock, which dominates the ocean horizon. Geologists have speculated that a prehistoric eruption of gigantic activity created a huge lava flow that rolled into the freezing sea, creating this impressive natural formation of epic proportions. Well, once again, an event of epic proportions has hit the coast of Oregon, Blowsion Surf Slam. And once again, the resulting collision of explosive energy against a churning sea has created, for those fortunate enough to see it, spectacular views that leave them in total awe. Welcome to Tierra Del Mar Beach in Pacific City, Oregon, a perfect location for a weekend of exciting competition between some of the greatest professional freeriders and moto racers that have traveled from all over the globe for Blowsion Surf Slam. 1 year ago, the spectacular Taylor Curtis surfed his way into the championship and rode away victorious. That will not be the case this year, as he's sidelined with an injury. The field is wide open, and the international pack of freeriders anticipate an exciting competition in great conditions.
We were really nervous after last year's kind of weather challenges, and it's always a challenge, which is why this event is a success, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And the fact that you can have a good time on the beach, whether it's rainy or sunny, but this year, as we can see, Oregon weather came through for us, and so everybody's in a good mood.
The freeriders are a tight-knit group and look out for each other in good times and bad. They are united by their passion for challenging sport of freeriding watercraft on ocean waves.
The camaraderie of the sport is just amazing. I mean, we're all friends. For sure, there's great competition and we joke around with each other, you know, and things like that. But you know, we all stoked for each other. We're all really happy with each other. It's an experience of a lifetime just to feel the love from everybody, and it's really amazing.
But back in 2008, when the Surf Slam event was in its infancy and was simply a group of friends having a great time together, a challenge far beyond the biggest of waves confronted them. There was a tragic loss within their community of riders. A drunken driver had taken two of their family. Zach Waddle and Libby Minium had just spent the day enjoying company of fellow free riders and were waiting on a friend when a truck veered off the road at high speeds with devastating consequences. The freeriding community was shaken. Two of their own were gone, and their young son Mason was left parentless. The emotions among the riders were still raw when they gathered together to mourn and draw strength from each other. They soon resolved that something needed to be done to help the orphan child and began to pass a hat to collect money for Mason. This was the beginning of a larger effort to help preserve the memory of Zach and Libby and provide for their child, which included a donation website and eventually the formalization of what is known today as Blowsion Surf Slam.
I think one of the big selling points of why people enjoy this day and this weekend is you're not separated from the riders. The professional people from around the world that come here, you can walk up and talk to them. Nobody's covering their engine. They want to share the knowledge that they have, or their dog. They want to speed your dog, you know. There's a lot of crossing over, and it's not separated by pits and passes and all that. We're an open event, and it's free to the public for that reason.
And the public likes what it sees, and the riders enjoy putting on a show. Of course, there's a contest at hand and scores are kept. The judges are perched high above, and they look at two main elements: how well the riders surf the waves and their off-the-lip tricks. Combine these two aspects in a run with good waves, and you move on to the next round. In early action and less than ideal conditions, we had the qualifying round. Local favorite and Blowsion team rider Darren Anderson would advance. Brandon Lawler would also take his talents to the next step, racking up surfing points on the shore break. Pete McAfee had a good session as he impresses the judges enough to advance. We're just getting started, as we have more of their preliminary round action coming your way. Under sunny skies in Pacific City, Oregon, the riders crank up the action, pushing this sport to new heights where anything goes. A new champion will take over the reins and bragging rights, and believe me, in this sport, that is a big deal. That action is to follow, plus we'll hear more from John Dady, as he's the backbone of this event. If that's not enough, two other worlds collide at Blowsion Surf Slam, both of which are exciting in their own right. This is Blowsion Surf Slam. There's much more to come. The Blowsion Surf Slam from Pacific City, Oregon is being brought to you by Blowsion, by Cold Fusion, by Fiberlay, and by IJSBA Racing.
Welcome to Blowsion Surf Slam 2013!
It's a spectacular day in Pacific City, Oregon as the Blowsion Surf Slam enters day 2 of action. Attended by family and friends, the riders now take center stage as the competition gets a little more serious. The anticipation of who moves on to the next round can be felt as the crowd continues to grow larger. Jake Montadon took on Mark Gomez in their heat. Both riders know exactly what the judges are looking for, and this heat exemplified what good wave riding is all about. I'm certainly glad I was not judging this heat because both riders put on a show that could have, quite frankly, been a final. Jake and Mark took advantage of the beach break, building points for wave riding. One key element to keep in mind is that their surface is constantly moving. No two waves are alike as both riders complemented their heat with a variety of wave riding skills and aerials. In the end, the judges leaned toward the overall riding skills and performance of Jake Montadon. Jake moves on to the next round, defeating Mark Gomez. Also moving on from this heat would be Brandon Lawler as he slips by Pete McAfee. Advancing to the quarterfinals, we've got some good action on tap with 4 exciting riders all trying to advance. You know, we talked about the competition aspect of this sport, but it really goes much deeper than that. The core ingredient is that of camaraderie. It certainly plays a factor in the progression of action sports, as it's like one big family.
You can't choose sides out here when it's all family, you know.
When you go up against one of your own, it doesn't make it any easier.
Definitely nervous. It was hard to sleep last night knowing I was going against Zach Bright. He's a good friend of mine, and we ride with him all the time, and I see how good he is, and he's definitely one of the top guys out here.
That's funny. He was just saying the same thing about you.
Well, we're all good friends in the end, and we're out here to have a good time.
There's no doubt that a good time is to be had. So you've heard me say Blowsion several times. What does Blowsion mean? Where did the name come from? Owner John Dady explains.
Origin basically was kind of a joke. As a 19-year-old businessman, which I was not a businessman, but as a 19-year-old I tried to start something as a business, and the name seemed to fit. And it's been used for many different terms, but we kind of use it as an adjective called, hey, that's kind of Blowsion. It's a very challenging sport because a lot of people don't even think that the stand-up jet skis are made anymore, and Yamaha still makes them. So we are kind of the innovators and responsible for making that machine better. But without the riders to be able to perform those moves, can only pull off so much. So a lot of it's wave conditions, but these guys they're spending so much time now in the surf that it's really starting to pay dividends. And you're seeing moves that are very similar, if not even more extreme than freestyle motocrossers. So a lot of crossovers, but it allows us to kind of bring in a crowd that's very cross-branding, you know. FMX Freestyle is a very similar version to what you're seeing in the surf here with the riders. So there's a little bit of correlation there, but I think the beach environment is so popular for anybody as far as an event. It's just who is in a bad mood on the beach. Nobody, I don't see anybody, even if it's raining, you're on the beach. You can only stare at the ocean. There's nothing to bother you.
What started out as a weekend get-together of riders has now turned into a major competition with worldwide implications.
I would like to see events like this take place. There is one in France and one in Brazil, but the challenge is the location, and then working with the local economy and the local people to make everybody happy. And that's the challenge because it's a lot of work, but it's all worth it when days like this happen.
Yes, it's a fantastic day, a great day for riding along the Oregon coast. Next up, we had another outstanding heat representing Oceanside, California. Zach Bright took his riding skills close to the beach. Looking outside was his opponent, Wesley Krautkramer. Wesley was eyeing something to launch off. Again, the judges had their work cut out for themselves. Keep in mind the riders only have 10 minutes in the heat to combine the elements that the judges are looking for. And that includes surfing the wave selection, style, jumps, maneuvers, and overall impression. That is certainly a great deal to keep in mind whether you're judging or riding. Looking at this heat, it was Wesley Krautkramer moving on to the next round.
I got Zach's impression. That felt like a final right there. That was intense. Your thoughts?
I have to say the same thing. That was the matchup. It was a final. Zach's really good, and I mean, it was a hard heat for sure.
Another spectacular heat was Darren Anderson going up against Jake Montadon. Darren is a local favorite to the Oregon coast. Jake comes from South Africa, but definitely felt at home in the Oregon surf. Early on, Jake took to the inside rollers, scoring points. Darren attacked the outside set with some swift surfing and some big airs. But Jake just seemed to soar off the lip with a little more energy and height as he advanced to the next round.
All the training has paid off. I couldn't ask for anything more. Just thanks for everybody for coming out. It's awesome to ride with Darren. He's one of the most famous riders out there. So I'm very happy to go over the win, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the finals.
Before Jake moves on to the final, he'll have to get past the semis. Yannick Pinard also had his sights set on moving on as he would take on Stanton High. Both riders put on an aerial show, hitting the outside rollers. In good conditions and clear skies, they were definitely impressive. But moving on would be none other than Stanton High. As we look ahead, we have two outstanding semifinals on tap. Wesley Krautkramer faces Brandon Lawler, while Stanton High takes on Jake Montadon. And for Jake Montadon, this is how he got started in the sport.
Birthday, I've always loved motorsport. I got into go-karting when I was young, and you know, I grew up surfing, and so I rented a jet ski basically, and came back, and I loved it. I couldn't stop talking about it. It was everything I wanted to do.
And what a great start, as Jake now has his sights set on reaching the final. We'll hear more from Jake a little later on. Plus, for the first time at a Blowsion event, freestyle motocross takes center stage as their ramps take shape right on the beach. The weather is perfect as we look from above. And down below, the action heats up with our Blowsion Surf Slam model photo shoot. We'll give you a glimpse of that, but when we come back, the business at hand are the semifinals for the pros and the amateur final. From Pacific City, Oregon, the Blowsion Surf Slam rolls on. Welcome back to Pacific City, Oregon for Blowsion Surf Slam. While the freestyle riders have a pause in their day, we switch gears with the Moto racers who have come to the Pacific Northwest to display their talents in elbow-to-elbow racing. From a beach start, Moto race number 1 got off to a clean start. Battling the bumpy surf, we witnessed some great action, and finishing in first place was none other than David Redinger. Not skipping a beat, Moto race number 2 competitors got after it under sunny skies and 2 to 3 foot swells. This would prove to be a great race as Mark Gomez, crossing over from the freestyle competition, pulled off first place. It was an exciting finish, and once again, congratulations goes out to Mark Gomez on a successful day of racing. We now move right into the amateur freestyle final. Pete McAfee faced Abraham Hallstrasser. This would be an outstanding and all-out 10-minute final with two very good riders. Pete in yellow and Abraham in red got after it in a hurry and really did not let up. 10 minutes might not seem like a long time, but in the water pushing hard with your adrenaline pumping, it's exhausting. Combining the two main elements of judging, and that is surfing the wave and jumping, the riders had a lot to get done. Huge errors came at the end, and when it was all said and done, Abraham would ride away as the champion. Outstanding camaraderie between these two great athletes. If the riders needed any extra money, they could enter the Big Air competition. And what else can you say about the incredible talent these riders possess, pushing the limits of themselves and machine? Words need not describe their amazing ability to push the envelope in their sport.
I'm not gonna lie.
It was no surprise that Zach Bright from Southern California would win the Big Air competition. The Big Air Comp would give way to the nail-biting professional freestyle semifinals as 4 remaining riders got ready to go head-to-head. Semifinal number 1 paired Brandon Lawler up against Wesley Krautkramer. A great amount of interest came from the beach as our competitors looked on. Brandon took to the surf with plenty of energy as he combined big airs and then surfing. Wesley on the outside certainly gave the judges something to think about. Once again, if you were a judge, this one would be difficult. The conditions were improving, it seemed, with every wave, as both riders were clean with their tricks off the lip and their wave riding maneuvers. No doubt in the end, Brandon was pleased with his semifinal.
Brandon Lawler, fantastic finals. Talk to me.
Oh, it was so much fun out there. Waves got a lot messier since the last time we rode, but man, my TC freeride boat held up strong. I missed that one slip, landed completely upside down. It never shut off, kept running. So stoked to make it this far in this event. Couldn't be happier.
Brandon would in fact advance to the final in the main event. Now the question would be, Who would he face as Jake Montadon would take on Stanton High in semifinal number 2? Once again, these athletes have great respect for each other, but of course, if you've made it this far, you certainly have your eye on making it to the final. This again would be a great semifinal. The conditions were steadily improving, and the amount of air the riders were getting showcased that. Back down to ground level, the judges and spectators took in the wave riding of both riders. What they noticed is that Jake had just a little bit more to a semifinal.
Yeah, that was really good. I felt good. I felt like I had a lot of energy. Some good surf riding, good combos. We'll just have to wait and see what the judges think.
What the judges thought was what we expected as South African Jake Montadon advanced to the final. To say the least, he was thrilled. Jake would take on Brandon Lawler, and both these riders have a certain modesty about them.
It's been a great event this year. It's my first event coming up pro. Last year I was an amateur. The weather's beautiful. The waves were a lot more rideable and a lot more competitive for the riders.
Brandon has come a long way in a very short amount of time. Now he gets set for his first final as a pro. His plan?
Going into the finals, my game plan is to start from the back set and bring a nice big wave all the way in. If something's out there before I bring a wave in, I'll try and get a flip or 2 off. Bring it in. It seems like right now the waves are breaking best on shore. They're not exactly throwing out the back. So probably mostly going to be riding in the middle to inner set, which will bring a better show for the audience.
No doubt it will be quite a show. Brandon will be going up against Jake Montadon. He's a veteran and has his own plan of attack going into the final.
I think every time I go into a run, we got all the tricks that we know how to do, and as you land clean. So basically when I go into it, I'm very strong on my surf riding, so I go into it, I know I've got to bang out some good scores with the surf riding and just do that. And then I just start from my easiest tricks to the hardest. And then things that maybe I'm not so clean on, I'll just throw it at the end and just go wild and just throw it down. At least you've got all your best tricks in, all the ones that you've got clean, and then just try whatever, man. Just throw it out there.
Jake and Brandon are part of a group of riders who are the best in the world at what they do. Here, they offer up advice to the younger riders.
My advice to younger riders that want to follow in my footsteps would be to make sure you have the right safety equipment on when you're out there. It's always good to wear a helmet, knee pads, elbow pads if you want. You want to make sure you have a reliable boat that can withstand the beating that it takes out there.
I think for everybody, and for myself, it was just that step that you need to take and just approach people. I mean, I approached Ross Champion, and he was like a big idol for me. And I was like, will this guy even message me back? And I think for the younger kids, I mean, they must just like we spoke about camaraderie earlier. We all so like loving the sport and just want people to get involved. So I mean, if anybody wants to mail or Facebook any one of the top athletes, I mean, we'll just steer them in the right direction and just help them get on their way. That's what's so great about the sport. There's just so many people that are willing to help.
My goal in this sport is to progress as much as possible, push the sport to new heights. Hopefully one day we can get the sport to a level that there's actually money involved and get it maybe into the X Games, get some bigger sponsors like energy drinks or whoever to help put on series. Lucas Oil puts on series for race car drivers, and that's really what we want to get into.
And with the likes of Blowsion and the support of pioneers in the sport like John Dady, this sport will continue to grow worldwide. The stage is set for the pro final as Jake and Brandon get ready to rip. But first, the incredible staff at Blowsion worked into the night, conforming the sandy Oregon coast into an FMX playground, as the monster team of riders put on a great demo. Freestyle motocross coincides perfectly with our professional free riders in the water. Both are cut from the same mold, and the boys from Monster only fed into the excitement of the pro final to come. That's up next. Plus, our ladies of Blowsion stepped onto the beach for their annual photo shoot. We'll give you a feel for that and have so much more from Pacific City, Oregon and the Blowsion Surf Slam. The Blowsion Surf Slam from Pacific City, Oregon is being brought to you by Blowsion, by Genetics, the science of racing, by K&S Kuwait, and by Monster, proud supporter of the Blowsion Surf Slam. We welcome you back to the Pacific Northwest as the Blowsion Surf Slam has once again taken center stage. The best free riders in the world have converged for this 3-day competition that now culminates with the finals. We have been witness to some incredible action both in the water and on the beach, and there is no other event quite like the Blowsion Surf Slam. A key aspect of this competition is the water safety and rescue team. During every second of the competition, the water safety team is out in the water ready to take action in any circumstance. They are there for the safety and rescue of the riders and certainly do a great job in protecting the competitors. Before we get to the main event, we take a look at the Consolation final. Stanton High faced Wesley Krautkramer. Here, Stanton High impressed the judges with his surf riding techniques. Wesley does the same outside. This was an awesome Consolation final between two riders with totally different styles and approaches to the waves. Remember, no two waves are alike, and the landing surface, the water, is always moving. Late in the round, it was Wesley Krautkramer that had just a little more for the judges to take notice of, as he captures the overall Consolation final title. Congratulations. This leaves us with the freeriding professional final between Jake Montanon and Brandon Lawler. Both riders earned the right to be in the final. They were confident going in and would put on quite a show. A show that would be very difficult to judge. The riding was just that good by both athletes. The conditions, well, they were ideal, and the waves were consistent and the skies clear. It was full throttle as both Brandon and Jake knew that they had to go big and also demonstrate their wave riding talents. They did that and more. And the crazy aspect about action sports is that these riders want to see their competition do good. Their success pushes the sport to new limits, which allows progression with each other.
Putting everything I had out there, giving it as much gas as I could off the lip. I think I flat landed once so hard I bent my throttle.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I was trying to bend it back out there and I was in a weird position the whole time, but it was awesome.
I felt really good. I felt like I had a lot of energy and I just wanted to go for it. It felt like I was just riding at home with friends, and I was very happy with what I did in the beginning, so it felt good. See how it turns out.
On the beach and after the final, it was anyone's guess as to the winner. There were some anxious moments as the awards ceremony got underway. Once again, John Dady thanked everyone for attending. Zach Bright certainly enjoyed winning the big air competition. The enthusiasm was high as the crowd welcomed back the top 3 amateur riders. They are the ones pushing the top pros to new heights and surpassing limits. It was time for the pro final results. Wesley Krautkramer, of course, took 3rd, but in the end, it was Jake Montanon, just edging out Brandon Lawler, who in his first pro comp got to a final. What a weekend of riding that concluded with a late afternoon photo shoot with the girls from Blowsion. Make sure to look for the full layout of the photo shoot on the Blowsion website. Well, it was another amazing weekend of competition at the annual Blowsion Surf Slam. We want to thank all the riders for a memorable time as you continue to amaze us all. For the Blowsion Surf Slam from Pacific City, Oregon, I'm Paul Higgins. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next year at the Blowsion Surf Slam.